Okay. Rat guard. There's been some questions about it. I'm trying to make it. There's probably 20, 25 things you can set up in there, but we're just going to focus on kind of that video that was posted, kind of what I do. I've been using it for a long time. I look at the way the rat guard and kind of it goes in combination with a lot of other guards. So like rat guard, Williams guard, even set up the butterfly, the Kimura control, and rubber guard if you play that. They all kind of go together. So, but we're just gonna focus on rat guard real quick. So the way I kind of set up, I usually set up my rat guard is to like a basic like bump sweep from full guard. So if I'm starting in like full guard, I achieve full guard, and I'm gonna do just a bump. Okay, a lot of times, if when I started using this a lot was I was rolling with a lot of wrestlers, and they would get low and they'd start grabbing me and pinning my hips, and they just start pressuring this way. A lot of times that may not happen. If it does, then you can skip the kind of this first part. But essentially what I like to do is I'll come up for the bump up, and all I'm really doing this for is so that my forearm can reach, like really go through, so that my armpit is like on the side of his neck. The reason why I do that is so I can grab on the outside. Depending on, just kind of a preface here, depending on the length of your arm is going to kind of dictate how well you can do this and who you can do it against. I don't have really long arms, so I have to like really reach far to get through. I can't do this particular submission that I'm about to show, the first one I actually try, on somebody that's much bigger than me, much wider. So if you got long arms, long limbs, it'll work almost on everybody. It'll be perfect. If you got shorter arms, you're gonna do a lot of modifications for it. And you may come across somebody who just can't because they're just way too wide. Okay, so that's the reason why I do this, because I don't have super long arms. I bump, but I do it so I can reach. And I'm reaching for this tendon behind my knee so that I can lock this in. Once I get here, I can fall back, and I'm bringing him down with me. And I relock my guard. Now, a lot of times, we're gonna go over this far arm right here, because this is important that I control this arm. But let's say I missed it. I'm just trying to control and just kind of ride this out, because this can be a resting position in a lot of ways, because as long as I'm over top of his arm here, I've got him broken down, I can add my left arm to grab the leg, and now I'm just gonna hang out here. Not much gonna happen. He can start to posture, try to pull and all this stuff, but I'm just kind of locked in, okay? Now, when I'm ready and I feel like I can transition, I'm gonna go and transition this hand. So a lot of times I'll reinforce with this outside hand here, just so I can grab my leg, so that I can release this. I just do this so I keep this frame out here. If I just don't do that, it's not the end of the world, but there is a bit of a moment, there can be an escape. So I'll reach, and then I'm gonna go around the other side of my knee. So I'm gonna be waving at everybody, and all I'm looking to do is put it behind my knee, an S grip. Once I get the S grip, it's a matter of me bringing my knee to my chest and then crunching to the side. That's it. So essentially all we're doing is coming around, grabbing, and crunching in. So this little space right here is getting crunched in. The more a guy pressures into you, the tighter this will come on. And again, if you have longer arms, like I was right about here and I was doing an S grip, you can certainly do Gable. I've seen guys like go here if you're flexible, depending on your length. That's essentially what's happening here. So one more time, I go for the bump, and I'm only doing this so I can get a real deep bite around my leg. As I fall back down, it drags him down. Close my guard. I missed the opportunity to control the outside arm. So what I'm gonna do is ride it out, reinforce, okay? We're kind of stuck here. Sometimes they'll keep latching on, they'll hug my hips, they'll do all kinds of stuff. So what I'm gonna do is when I'm ready, I'm gonna release. I'm gonna go around the outside. Here, open, grab the S grip. Now I drop, bring my knee to my chest, go to the side. That's it. It should be a choke, right?
Yeah, so a lot of people don't know what was happening and why the tap was. And if you don't know, we're referring to a video that Alex Assad posted. He was rolling with Nick and this certain situation happened. People didn't know why he tapped. So as we break down the position a little bit here, Ryan's, come back a little bit. Ryan's rib or lower armpit here is kind of taking care of my right side of the neck. And my own shoulder is actually coming in as he is crunching everything together, and it's choking me as it's compressing everything. So if you want me to count as you do it, so I'm gonna start counting to 10. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and he comes in really quick. And it's one of those things that you don't really expect. And just kind of putting you in a really, really bad situation, and it's very, very unexpected.
That's kind of my go-to for my first attack, and it's usually because I lost control of the arm. If you can look at rat guard in a lot of different ways, there's a ton of attacks from there. I'm gonna kind of cycle through a few of them real quick, because if that fails, or maybe I can't reach it, there's certainly a myriad of other moves I can actually do. So I'm gonna face this way so they can see my hands. So we set it up, I got here. Okay, so I actually always try to control this arm. A lot of times I'll control the bicep, but if I can work my way down to wrist, this is optimal, okay? There's obvious things here we can put behind the back, reaching the line here. You know, I could just simply do this and pull. That could be a submission, pretty basic stuff. But the first thing we're gonna address is the outside arm here. Okay, so let's say I get control of just the bicep. My first attack if I see him lifting this arm for like to the knee, I'll take this hand and place it on me like he wants to press my knee down like this to break. Because the idea is that he can cross his knee over and start to pass. It's actually kind of a mistake, because when somebody retracts their arm, their elbow pops up. Now this is very bad. Because we have wraps. So I got the rat guard, I see his arm coming up, I come around, it's a simple swoop in for the 100%. I can try to, this will be a neck crank. I don't neck crank people in general. This can be if I just crunch down kind of the same motion we did to actually finish the choke. But what I'll use this for is an actual sweep. So I'll just post, rotate, get on top, go to a guillotine choke. It's generally what I do. So that's addressing the arm here. He reaches this far, arm up. As soon as he does that, I'm wrapping around, got him, right? Now this is very, you call it the 100%, I believe, because you're pretty much stuck. As long as I don't start like pulling or something, you're fine. Now, if for whatever reason I can't get the 100% or something, there's obviously we just transitioned right to the guillotine. Guillotine. The grips, I actually have a video on this already, the grips that I like, but I just rock the baby, that's it, and it goes straight to the guillotine. So those are 2 more submissions on the side with the mistake of reaching the arm back. So that's kind of addresses what's happening on this side. A lot of it's kind of dependent on what his reaction is. So those are the 2 I'll kind of look for, even when I'm hanging out here and I'm just seeing what's going on. Yeah, that right there. As soon as I see that, boom. Sometimes I'll catch his wrist and I'll pull him back, and I mean, all of this is bad. Any type of reaching back is going to be bad. This will be a tap, right? Wrapping, right? Guillotine. So that's 3 moves just on this outside arm. But what I really want to do, because this is more of kind of situational. He's responding technically incorrect, I would say.
I'm creating the problem.
Whereas now I want to create the problem. And the way I do that is I have the rat guard here. This arm is going to be the main source of attack here. I'm going to be working to enter into all kinds of positions from this, just simply this arm. So the first one we're going to do is we're going to actually, if I get wrist control, it's very simple for me to start pressing him down. Now, what I usually do, this is my first attack with the outside arm. I'll press him down, and a lot of guys will teach like just to abandon everything and try to throw your legs up. That certainly works. I don't do that because I feel like there's way too much space. He can toss or rip up, and a lot of times this position can be somewhat static. We're just sitting here, like it's we're not moving very much. So he's just waiting for an opening and then they'll rip out, okay? So that's why when I get here, I don't just try to open and abandon everything because this happens. So what I'll do, it's more subtle, I'll press, and all I'm trying to do is get him to the inside of my knee. If I can get him here, I'm just gonna open to grab the arm. That's it. Once I get control of the arm, I can release the rat guard, control his posture, and now it's an easy transition to slide up. Now, he didn't have a chance to pull his arm out. So that's usually how I'll work into the triangle.
I'll do it this way.
Yeah. So
Same thing.
this is usually how I'll work into the triangle from the rat. So I get here, and instead of throwing everything up, me trying to press this and just letting go and throwing my legs up, I don't do that. I press, and then I just try to bring my leg up just a little bit to catch him. That's it. Once I get his arm caught, it's as simple. I can release. I just slide everything up. There's very little room for him to get out. I'm controlling his posture, keeping him down. So that would be kind of a entry for the triangle. That's more of a controlled entry. Keep in mind too, this entire time that we're doing this, I can easily, the Kimura is here the entire time. The Kimura grips, we can start working Kimura, stretching out, here, cutting angles, doing all that stuff with the Kimura grip. So that's always gonna be there, the Kimura. But, so we talked about this one, get to the arm in, the Kimura, obviously. A lot of times now what I'll try is if I get the arm, if he starts to, let's say I press down, the natural reaction is them to start fighting me here. If they start fighting me, I'll raise above my head, okay? So now the arm's coming up. There's several things that can happen. I can actually transition to octopus guard if you're familiar with it, but I can also have a lock on the arm. So what that's gonna look like is here, I'm pressing up, I'll actually put myself kind of in a headlock here, right? And all I'm looking to do is, there could be a wrist lock here, right? But all I'm looking to do is when I release, I can release my rat guard now to go around the head. Can get a choke, can take the back, all that good stuff, just by simply his reaction of straightening the arm, okay? The friend to that is if I got rat guard here and I start to do this and he starts way over like this, I can release my rat guard. Anytime I release my rat guard, I'm usually always crunching my elbow kind of down on top of the head. I don't just release and try to go. I'm here and I still keep this crunched. It gives me a second to windshield wiper in. We're up already, so windshield wiper in. Now I'm in the octopus guard. I can come up. This would technically be working into the octopus guard, but there's no reason to. We just go around the neck. I control. I can finish him here. I got sweeps. Okay. All this stuff is very reactionary on his part. He's doing this with his arm. Okay, as I'm trying to press.
And that's to come off of the Kimura, right?
It could be
getting Kimura, I'm straightening or just kind of playing around.
It could be off the Kimura, or it could just be me simply trying to do the first move, which is trying to triangle. All I have is the wrist. I'm just pressing it, trying to press them down. Anytime they press down, they press up. So you could just press down, they press up, and then you just lift. It could be something as simple as that. And they either one, your head comes in, or either two, your arm comes through, and you swim through, and you're in the octopus guard. So those are kind of some of my attacks on the arm for the far side arm. The Kimura is pretty obvious. The only other one that I usually kind of play with is if they actually do start carrying me, somebody big and strong, they'll actually posture back while I'm in the rat guard. So we'll just do one more. I'll get here, I'll get like this, and they just pull back, and I'm just kind of coming with them, right? You can actually hang out here. You can carry my weight, but what's happening here is interesting because when someone ever pulls back with the rat guard, this is a very, very good time to just do your basic 101, hip bump sweep. You're already in position, a great position to do it. And here he's posturing up. as soon as he postures up and he starts like pulling me up with him, I'm already up. It's easy. There's no, this isn't a detailed like, video on how to do a bump sweep, but there's a lot of detail there. You basically just want to take your hips to the roof, but you're already in this kind of position. Him pulling back is just, most of the time that's what I get, honestly. I won't maybe get too into the submission with bigger guys. Once they start posturing, I'm just gonna bump and I'm gonna get on top because I can usually react faster than they can respond. The only other thing I'll try for a last ditch kind of submission here is when I'm in rat and he starts to pull up. As soon as he starts to pull up like this, there is an opportunity, because if you look, you may not be able to see this, but between my chest and his chest, there starts to create a little bit of a gap. And what that does is it allows me, because I got hang time here with this, my rat guard's not going anywhere. This hand now has availability to start sliding through to this side, okay? I'm just sliding in, and we're gonna end up in this crunch down choke. So what that'll look like is I get rat guard, pulls up, I start to shoot my left hand through, break him back down. That's it. Just came across, boom, right? I just gotta crunch my elbow back down, shoot through, and that's it. If that doesn't work, if I get here and he pulls back and I go for this and he just keeps pulling, then it's a bump, right? It could just be a quick combination. I mean, you have a lot of tools you can play with. And this isn't even going into like, I won't go into this, but just so you know, this isn't even going into like, I'll get here, working into Williams guard positions, working into rubber guard positions, working into my Kimura grips, my Kimura position, working into, rat guard, going into butterfly, sweeping them over, all this stuff that you can throw in combination with other guards. So, I mean, it's kind of a quick rundown, but those are kind of some of the submissions I'll cycle through. It really boils down to the first one, that choke. It's usually the easiest to get if somebody's a wrestler. They're just pressing hard down into you like this, and they got your hips and everything else. Williams guard, rat guard is where I started developing that, playing with the people that would just crunch down. The other stuff is more jiu-jitsu guys related, the arms, controlling. Most wrestlers are gonna come around your hips like this, so you may not have an opportunity to enter into those submissions unless you catch the bicep. Right,
that was exactly what happened on the video that we said before. Nick is a bigger guy, right? Mm-hmm. And I think it was like a year ago, so he had just started jiu-jitsu. It was probably a year in. So he reaches over and around Alex, and that's when Alex comes over with the with the rat guard and gets the compression choke. So that was pretty cool to see, and the reaction of people once they saw it, and they were a little confused on how the submission happened. So Ryan, asked to see if we could do a rundown for you guys and go from there. Yeah. Hopefully this will help. Again, if you guys have any questions, comments, let us know. Send us a DM or put it over in the comments on YouTube, and we'll try to answer your questions to the best of his ability.
Yeah, our ability.